Explanations of the cause of disease, Pasteur's germ theory and Robert Koch's work on microbes. Who was Louis Pasteur? Louis Pasteur was a French chemist. Pasteur was not a doctor, but a university chemist. He was very determined and liked to demonstrate his experiments in public. In 1868, he suffered a stroke and was paralysed down one side of his body, but kept working and went on to make some of his most important discoveries. What experiments did he carry out? Pasteur was employed to investigate why wine being sold by the French to the British went bad. In his experiments, he found that by heating the liquid, it would not go bad, and this led to Pasteur developing the so-called pasteurization technique. Pasteur also carried out other experiments. One of his most famous was to take two flasks. One of the flasks was exposed to air and the other was not. The liquid in the flask that was exposed to the air went bad, whilst the liquid in the flask that was not exposed to the air did not. This led to Pasteur to conclude that bacteria in the air caused disease. What did germ theory say? Before the germ theory, many believed that bad air or miasma caused disease. We have learned that this theory had been in existence since Roman times. Another theory was that disease was caused by spontaneous generation. This was the idea that rotting matter caused disease. Pasteur published his germ theory in 1861, which disproved both of these previous theories. Pasteur's germ theory argued that germs or microbes in the air caused disease. However, Pasteur's germ theory was quite general and he could not identify the specific bacteria or microbes that cause specific diseases. Who then was Robert Koch? Robert Koch was a German doctor who had read Pasteur's work. He was funded by the German government and used a team of scientists known as a research team to assist him. Why is Koch important? In 1876, Robert Koch and his research team made an important discovery. They found the bacterium that was causing anthrax. This was the first time anyone had identified the specific microbe that caused an individual disease. In 1882, Koch and his research team found the bacterium that caused another disease, tuberculosis. How many bacteria did Robert Koch identify? Over the next 20 years, Koch and other scientists identified more bacteria causing individual diseases, and this led to the development of vaccines to prevent them. This finally persuaded people that the theories of miasma and spontaneous generation were incorrect. Koch found that chemical dyes could be used to stain and then identify specific bacteria. Below is a table showing the main bacteria Robert Koch and his team identified. 1882 typhoid, 1883 cholera, 1886 pneumonia, 1887 meningitis, 1894 plague, 1898 dysentery. Why was the Franco-Prussian War important? The French and Prussian War was a war that developed between Pasteur's France and Robert Koch's Germany. It increased the competition between Pasteur and Koch because both were sponsored by their own governments. Their successes were celebrated. What has been the impact of Pasteur and Koch's work? Pasteur's germ theory was very general. He could not identify specific germs, and so in some ways Pasteur's germ theory was less critical than Jenner's discovery of the smallpox vaccination. At least Jenner could prevent people catching smallpox through vaccination. Despite the publication of germ theory in 1861, people continued to believe in miasma theory and spontaneous generation for many more years. His work had no immediate practical application. Koch's identification of different bacteria proved that germs cause disease and proved miasma and spontaneous generation theories were wrong. However, Robert Koch did not save people's lives by itself. What were needed were vaccines that worked like Jenner's vaccination. Once again, his discoveries had no immediate practical application. What vaccines did Pasteur then develop? Louis Pasteur knew about Jenner's vaccine against smallpox. He began with animal diseases and developed vaccines to prevent anthrax and chicken cholera in 1879. In 1885, he even tested his rabies vaccination on a boy who had been bitten by a rabid dog. The vaccine worked and saved the boy's life. This was the first successful vaccine since Jenner's work on smallpox. Other scientists then developed other vaccines, learning from Pasteur. Below is a table showing the vaccines that were developed. In 1896, typhoid. 1906, tuberculosis. 1913, diphtheria. And 1927, tetanus.